Don't do that to me. Don't ever do that to me. Don't gesture in my direction like that.
You don't like the finger guns?
I don't like the finger guns.
Okay.
This is not a place for guns, this is a place for peace.
Okay.
We're done with the war. It's over.
Oh, thank God.
That's it. It's over, guys. It's peacetime. We found serenity in ourselves. We don't need to fight. I'm joking, we need to fight. We gots to. We gots to fight. We gots to. Welcome to War with a Mate. It's James here.
And Andy.
Andy's over there. He's not here. He's not sat on my lap. Keep on asking. Keeps on rebuffing my advances.
It's bad acoustics.
No, it wouldn't be. It'd be great.
The echo would be all wrong.
The echo, yeah, we need the echo just right. Some of the episodes do have echoes in. I've checked.
Oh, good.
Got the echo nailed. So we're all good. Echo is there. Echo! Oh, it sounds like Andy sometimes. This is the world-famous podcast in which we both play SPI's The Campaign for North Africa. It's a board game, and it's a really long board game. No one's finished it before, but we're going to finish it. We're going to finish it all the way. We're going to finish it real hard, and no one can stop us. They don't have the means. They don't have the tools to stop us.
Or the inclination.
Or they also don't know where the game is. It's locked away in a secret location. Well, it's just to my left. So if you know where I am right now, you can get to it. But otherwise, you're done for. You not got a chance. Not a snowball's in hell. No opportunity to beat us. We're running on high because we've just played the game so hard that we finished the first operation stage. Not just that. We're halfway through the bloody second operation stage.
Yeah.
That's right, people. We punched out the trucks. We did the trucks, and my God, did it go well. I didn't lose many, but I did lose some.
You did roll a 66, which is the worst result.
I did. Goal! 66 is the highest number you can roll, canonically.
The worst thing that can happen.
It's also the worst result. Double ones, snake eyes is what you want. I got a snake with lots of eyes, or several snakes. So we beat up stage one. It's gone. It's in the rear view. We did it. How do you feel about that, Andy?
Positive. Very good.
Damn right.
We've done most of the bits now. I guess we haven't done air combat and some of the other stuff, but done an op stage, which is the repeating bit of, it's the 90% of the game.
If it bleeds, we can kill it. We just beat an operation stage. We just need to do that another 350 times. And that means we finished the play scenario and we finished the full game.
Yeah.
And we ran the numbers at the current rate of 25, 26 episodes for us to finish one op stage. That means it's only going to take us 175 years.
Which is a reasonable project.
But if we take it from episode 17, which is when we really got into the nitty-gritty of this play scenario, it's only going to take us 54 years.
Got to bring that down, but yeah.
Yeah, we got to slide that down a little bit. But what it does mean now is we can take our feet off the gas a little bit and not care too much about this because it means we just keep going. We just keep going and we try and finish it.
That's keeping your foot on the gas.
No, it's gone. My foot is off because I beat an op stage, Andy.
So we're coasting to a stop.
That's right. I beat an op stage. What more could you want? We basically beat the fucking game. You want a turn?
Yeah, let's do a turn.
Let's do a turn then. All right, buddy. We'll do that.
Okay, let's get the map back out.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, live session. We're going to play the game right now to completion, live on mic. I don't have the storage space for that. I just simply don't.
Or the inclination.
I know I've got the inclination.
Oh, okay.
Stop. Leave your inclination at home, Andy.
Oh, I am at home.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to work then. Oh, I'm buzzed, one, because of finishing the op stage, and two, because all I've eaten today is cake.
That's good.
I'm on a cake thing. Really loving that cake. I got an iced Madeira cake, and it tastes like birthday cake. It's great. I'm running on high. I had a high protein Huel. It's the black edition. Idris Elba would be proud that I'm repping the product.
Yep.
He absolutely loves us. He's not got back in touch yet because he's probably busy filming scenes for Avengers Doomsday, I would imagine. That's why I got pushed back.
Because of the Huel.
Because I drank a high protein Huel.
Oh, every time you drink one, it delays Avengers Doomsday a year.
I'm a powerful man, Andy. So, to recap, today we started off by, and it was a long play session today, we really punched some progress because of that. I started off by moving my truck convoys.
How do you find, because we've taken very different approaches there. I have 4 convoys.
I have 15.
Yeah.
I have 15 convoys, one of which is no longer a convoy because I've attached it to one of my groups. So I moved them around. It wasn't all that bad. I really thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was. And moving them around, the the only downside to having so many convoys is that I've only got... It's roughly between 4 and 12 trucks per convoy.
Yes.
And when you roll on breakdown tables, you get... One of the results is 10%, and it rounds up. So that means if it's 4 trucks and you roll 10%, that's one of your 4 trucks. If you've got a convoy of 11 trucks and you roll 10%, that's 2 trucks. That happened twice.
You had a lot of 12s as well.
I did. I had some 12s as well. So that was a real kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
I also rolled a 33% breakdown on one of them. So I lost 2 trucks in that one. That was a bad one. That
typically,
hurt.
we'd be able to fix that in the repair stage, which comes after the truck convoy stage. But you
it was
can't
raining.
repair things when it's raining.
It was raining. Raining cats and dogs. All the animals falling from the sky, getting in the way of my wrench. It's not a euphemism. Wrenches are used to fix trucks in the desert, probably.
Almost certainly.
I don't have the technical acumen to say if that's true or not.
No, I'm willing to bet that there's wrenches involved.
I put cash money on that.
That's 100%.
So my trucks, they dawdle around the desert. They got to where they need to go. I restocked some guys with some food, some ammo, a little bit of water to quench their thirst. And all in all, I think it went pretty spectacularly. No one is dying of thirst at the moment, which is great. That's fantastic news for the guys. It is. It's big. It's a big change. The guys that I have that were starving aren't in immediate danger of starving. Don't need to worry about that for a little while.
That's good.
And yeah, minimal breakdown. Relatively minimal breakdown. So at the end of that was it. The trucks were the final part of the turn to do. Well, the op stage, rather. And op stage ticked off, boxed off, which means we moved then straight and swiftly on to the start of op stage 2 of turn 1.
And you gave me initiative again?
I did. I once again donated initiative to you, so you have to go first.
Don't know why.
What?
Don't know why you did
You don't know why?
Nope.
We're good friends.
Oh, okay.
I thought that's what friends do. They give each other initiative.
But I did ask you to go first.
Yeah, but I'm in charge of the initiative.
Yeah.
So
it's not really a good friend move.
It's benevolent, in a word. Benevolent, beautiful, maybe. Some would say that. I would say that.
No.
No? I am, right now. On the record, it's beautiful. You're beautiful.
It sucks.
I hit that note perfectly as well. Did you notice that?
There's no amount of post-production you can do to make that sound good.
I'm going to vocode it.
I just said there's no amount.
No amount. I immediately name exactly how I'll do it. No, that'll work. So I gave you initiative, which means you have to go first in each stage.
Yeah. And then I rolled the weather.
You rolled the weather.
And I can see clearly now, the rain is gone.
There it is. Oh my god, he made a fucking song reference. This is beautiful. That means the planes are a go. I'm going to get those T-birds up in the air. So that means we get to do planes this time.
Yes.
And gosh darn it, not only that, but because we sped through this op stage, we absolutely smashed it. I've already done water distribution, as have you.
Yep.
You've got yours fully automated. I'm still doing mine mostly manual.
I need to copy the row in, but it does all the calculations for me.
Yes, yeah. So yours is a few clicks.
Yeah.
Mine, I did it while you were dealing with some of your reorganization, because that's another part of the stage we did. We did reorganization, which for me was just assigning some of my convoy to first line trucks.
And for me, I'd only did one bit of reorganization.
Uh-huh.
Long Range Desert Group have entered the game.
Yeah, they have. That part I didn't like.
Nope.
I didn't like the part where you made a long range desert group that are going to pester me until they get killed, I suppose.
Yeah.
But for them to be killed, you have to roll a 6-sided die every time you do a mission.
Yep.
And is it a 6?
A 6, they die if they're raiding something that's like guarded.
Yeah. So there's a good chance that they get killed.
I mean, yeah.
Which I hope is what happens. Because I don't want them to be stealing my things, or blowing up my things, or interfering with my things. Don't want any of that going on. So you can keep your long range desert rangers group, long range LDRG.
Yep.
You can keep them over there on your side of the table.
Nope, they're going to be immediately beelining on your side of the map invisibly, and then you'll just have to wait.
That side of the map is for James. It's not for Andy.
It's for you and the Long Range Desert Group.
I'll share. As long as they don't do anything bad.
Oh, they will.
I was afraid of that.
They're incredibly proficient at doing bad things.
I was worried about that. Well, in that case, I'm not pleased at all.
No.
Not one jot. So
Ralph and the boys have shown up.
Ray Fiennes and the boys. Voldemort is here. He's in the room. He always pops around when we're recording. Good guy. Good guy. No nose, of course. as you may remember.
No notes.
Yeah, no notes, no nose. He lost the nose in the Hogwarts situation.
Hogwarts situation.
Yeah, it's bad. So, yeah, the long-range desert group are about, and shucks, we reorganized, we redistributed our supplies, so they're all back where they need to be. All of our guys are equipped from all the supplies our trucks dropped off.
Yep.
And then from there, it was...
We both flirted with the idea of doing some construction and then both decided not to.
We did. We ran our thumb across its lips, we breathed heavily on its neck, and we whispered sweet nothings in its ear, but we didn't do it.
Instead, it got a restraining order.
Yeah,
we're not allowed to do construction.
Yeah, because of the lack of resources, we're not allowed to. Turns out that advance was unwarranted, and because of that, not at all reciprocated. So we will not be building anything. Certainly not for this upstage. You're doing a little bit of training,
yep,
which is underway.
Ticking over.
Yep. So the training is done. We've ticked that bit off. And now, because there's no tactical shipping phase, because that's a myth, and you can't do your bombing on the coastline until turn 2.
Yes, I can't use the Commonwealth fleet to do stuff.
And because my naval convoy arrived last upstage, because that's only once per turn, that means we are now at aircraft.
Yeah.
It's planning time. It's time to plan our missions and then send those planes out. So that's what we're doing next time.
Yep, and you seem very enthusiastic about the planes.
I've got so many bombs. I have north of 400 bombs.
It's too many bombs.
They are all going to fall down. You're going to hear the pitter-patter of little bombs all over your things, your roads, your tracks, your men, your trucks. I'm going to bomb your roads in places where that's going to make it difficult for you to drive.
Which is just not fair.
Like on gravel or marsh. Or as the rulebook described them as, salt barshes. Not marshes.
No,
barshes with a B. It's a small detail, and I know that there's a lot of text in there, and I know they didn't really have spell check back in 1978, but still, I felt like it was a personal slight when I was reading through, and after all this time, when I was running on high, I still read a typo. I mean, come on, guys. We're this far in, you're putting typos in?
Fix that.
Putting typos in? I presume, the rulebook only exists when I look at it, so they're just kind of filling it as I go.
Yeah, it's procedurally generated.
It probably is. I wouldn't be shocked. Nothing would shock me about this game at this point. So we're ready to do airplanes. We're ready to do all of the air stuff, all the bombing, all the dog fighting, and my God, it's great.
It's the last sort of big chunk
that we haven't done yet.
Yeah,
and then after that, it's back to movement, then back to land combat, and we just cycle through. Oh God, we're going to be done with this turn before we know it.
I hope so.
Flying through. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
It's bleeding.
Leona Lewis,
Tidy
bleeding love. She was in the X Factor. Or on the X Factor. I think she was in it.
No, yeah, you go on the X Factor.
Yeah, you go on the X Factor, and then you were on the X Factor.
Yeah, and then you are in delusion.
Yes, that's right. Do you see Olly Murs had to cancel his show halfway through? Poor guy. Lost his voice a little bit.
That's not on.
That's
his job.
Just running the numbers here, Andy, and you've probably got the stats to hand. Olly Murs has cancelled, I know, at least one show because he lost his voice. How many episodes have we cancelled because of bad voice?
None.
Is it none?
Professionals.
That's right. That's damn right. 0 is the answer. 0 episodes have been cancelled because of a bad voice.
Yeah.
We are, some people would argue, but he's doing it in front of a live audience. Doesn't matter. He's richer than us.
Yeah.
He's got the resources to fix it.
He's also doing it in front of a live audience. Not very humble.
No, that's not very... It's definitely not subtle. No. I can tell you that for free.
And it's not brave.
It's brave. I wouldn't do that. That's scary.
I'd blast it out.
You would not do that. No way. You wouldn't sing Olly Murs' song. You wouldn't sing a song... cool, can't tell you.
Next time he gets ill, he gives me a shout, I'll come to it.
You're the stand-in?
Yeah.
You're the guy...
His understudy.
You're waiting in the wings?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise you were Olly Murs' understudy. I would have treated you with slightly less respect.
I'll have to learn any of his songs.
You know what? I reckon if I heard one of his songs, I'd go, there we go, that's an Olly Murs earworm. But because I'm not hearing one right now, cannot picture one.
Does he wear a hat?
He did wear a hat, yes. No, I remember that. No. God, he did. I think that was back in the phase in like the sort of early 2010s, late 2000s, where wearing a hat was kind of cool.
It was never cool.
Well, it was then. I didn't get involved, of course. I wasn't cool. I was sort of like an edgy fringe of society sort of guy, like, you know.
You look like you wore a beanie.
No, I've never. Well, I have worn. I've never worn a beanie.
No, you look like a long hair beanie kid.
No, I did have long hair. I used to have shoulder length hair. Yeah, you never knew me back then.
I'm
no?
sure you put that under a beanie at some point.
No. I wanted the world to see.
See your long flowing locks.
My long flowing and probably admittedly greasy locks. Yeah, I was what, like 13, 14? And yeah, you didn't know me back then. You can't. We didn't meet till I was like 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. Waited till I was legal. Good on you.
That had my peepers on you.
Wow. Okay. Right. Okay. That's a horrible revelation.
There's a guy
with
with long hair and a beanie. I'm sure I'll be friends with him in 4 years.
Because of how we met, that doesn't make any sense that you were... There's no way that you could have been observing me from afar. Afar? More like a farce. This game's a farce. I'm angry again.
Why?
No, I'm not. It's good.
You've been positive all day.
I have. Well, I wasn't when I first got here because I spent all of last night. When I say last night, I mean from about 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. this morning playing Baldur's Gate 3. What an incredible game.
I mean, amazing game.
Fantastic game. So then I had to get a little bit of shut-eye this morning before I came around here.
On the floor?
Yeah, I did. I slept on the floor. I did. Slept on the floor. It was indoors, though, so it's fine. I slept on a floor indoors, and that was on the back of playing a game that's so great for so long. To then come here and play this, I was not in good spirits. Minimal sleep, not enjoying what I was about to do. Lots of spreadsheets, lots of fucking on with all these stupid rules. And you know what? Once again, it won me round.
Yeah.
Won me round, and I had a hell of a time. We made some real progress, and now I'm looking back thinking, Baldur's Gate who?
What were you complaining about?
Baldur's Gate who? This has all of the...
an insane take.
This has all of the creative positivity and all of the good parts of Baldur's Gate. Emergent storytelling, interactive characters, fun story beats, interesting and exciting mechanics, good graphics.
What's the best graphics it can be?
Historically accurate war units from the North African campaign in World War II.
There's probably a mod to put a Panzer in Baldur's Gate.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I'm going again off minimal sleep and cake, so my diet is, it's up there. A Huel and some cake.
You are on a health kick.
Apparently so, that's what I'm saying. I did have some ham. I made some ham sandwiches.
There you go.
Yeah. It's been primarily cake, it's not been just cake. Yeah. That was me embellishing, that was hyperbolic, I'm sorry.
I've had like 4 Bud Lights.
You have your buzzed light.
Yep, and no food.
No, nice, I like it. We've both had a little tipple towards the end of the game there. We've celebrated a little bit, and I think it was well earned, well deserved.
You got to celebrate finishing an upstage.
Absolutely. I think it's earned. I was going to let off some fireworks in your garden.
That's fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, because I don't like fireworks. So
I don't know why you're.
I would never do that.
Phobia of fire.
I don't have a phobia of fire. I'm very, very conscious of the dangers of fire.
You would freak out if I had a slow cooker going.
Well, yeah, that's when we lived together, and you would have a slow cooker going while we were at work.
Yeah.
I don't want to come back and find that the slow cooker had cooked the house.
Which it just can't.
Of course it can.
It was just gently warming some chili.
Oh, yeah, that's not how fires start or anything.
No.
Of course it is. A slow build of heat over the course of 8 hours. How deadly that is.
Into food.
Yeah, into food. What if it thought the house was food? You ever think about that?
I mean, I'm so glad we don't live together anymore.
Use your loaf, Andy. You're going to end up causing a fire.
I'm not.
To be fair, that socket over there that I had my charger plugged into is coming out of the wall. I don't know if you've realised that.
All of the electrics in this place are fucked.
I just nearly knocked the mic off the stand. Oh my god. Yeah, the electrics are a little bit haywire in this place, I've noticed. But thankfully, I've got this massive extension pack that all of these things are plugged into.
It's definitely all safe.
Right next to my foot, with more wires than you can shake a stick at. But all in all, we're fine. We're safe.
Yeah, we're safe as hell.
Oh.
Have you sat on something?
Probably. No, I haven't. Although there is this plastic wheel that we use for spell radius on D&D. That's by my side. Great visual storytelling for this podcast, by the way. Don't do that. I told you, don't do that. Don't ever make those gestures at me. Don't ever point those little fingers at me. So what I was going to do there is allude to the fact that the telegram noise was coming in. So it'll be interesting to see when I edit that in for this one. No, don't put your hand to your ear now.
This bit because it's quiet.
Probably, yeah. I'll cut it if it's quiet. That's how it works. But let's read some. Let's see what we got going.
Yeah, bust them out.
What are the gang saying? Who we got first?
Pelly.
Pelly. What's Pelly got to say?
Hello from California. I love the podcast. I'm not entirely sure how I stumbled upon it, to be honest, but I'm glad I did. You guys are hilarious and do a great job of making an esoteric topic very enjoyable. I've been listening in my car with the top down because it's California and that's what you do. And also, the good people of Santa Barbara need to follow along.
Hello, people of Santa Barbara. This car is yours for the taking. You've won a prize, a competition. Just get in the car and drive away.
Oh, cool. So we're directly endangering our listeners.
They can turn it down for this part. It'll be fine.
Okay. But before he has his car stolen, he does have one question. The game is clearly obsessed with historical accuracy. Do you think this puts the Axis at an unfair advantage? They did lose after all. Keep it up, and good luck getting through it all. Pelly.
You've also included a picture, I see there, Pelly, of the dashboard of your car with the episode Everest playing.
Yeah, and some beautiful California sunshine, which, as I'm looking out the window, it makes me sad.
Yeah, it's raining now. It's raining, and the sky is so overcast it's basically nighttime. Beautiful. Love it. Well, Pelly, you make a good point. So, when it comes to historical accuracy, I don't think it puts the Axis at an unfair advantage on paper. Because on paper, doesn't look like they really had a disadvantage.
Yeah, the more research I'm doing, it feels like sort of globally they definitely were sort of inevitably going to lose, probably. But
the whole war on two fronts thing really did them in.
Yeah, or four fronts, or however many they ended up on. But when it comes to North Africa, like with the Enigma episode, for instance, that like week delay in that message, and a couple of other things I've like looked into, it seems like it was. There's multiple moments where it could have gone one of two ways.
Oh yeah.
So I think realistically, the actual conflict was down to the commanders and their like skill, and I think the game will be the same.
Which is bad news because neither of us are particularly adept at commanding anything other than each other's presence.
And respect.
That's right, damn right. There's a lot of respect in this room. So it really does come down to how we manage that.
Yeah.
Well, looking at airplanes, for example, when we were just having a look at the end of the play session there, I have air superiority massively. It's not even close. You've got about a third of the planes that I have.
Yeah.
So when it comes to stuff like that, on paper, I've got it. When it comes to the ground force that I have at the start of the game, I've got the superiority. When the Germans show up, I'll still have superiority on both land and air. You have supply superiority.
Yes, which I think is going to be what keeps that in balance until the forces sort of equalise.
Yes, you've got a big boon there in the supplies, and I've got basically all of the threatening aspects that I need to be able to make a really solid push. So I think, yeah, the game is very historically accurate. You're right with that, Pelly. But I think the nature of that is it plays out however it does because of the decisions we make. And it's mostly how we manage our supplies. That's going to be the big deciding factor. And after moving our trucks around now, that is more apparent than ever.
Yeah.
So I would say when it boils down to it, I don't think it's loaded in Andy's favour. It's loaded in my favour. So if I lose, it's going to be embarrassing.
I think it'll sort of swing as Americans get involved and your supply lines get stretched like taller and taller. Mm-hmm. So I think you'll have sort of the early mid-game advantage, potentially.
Yeah, I would say that's probably likely.
Swing back to mine, which sort of happened in the war, because they got pushed all the way back to El Alamein, which is, in so game far. Turns, map E.
Yeah, it's all the way on your side of the game. So if I manage to push you all the way over there, functionally I've won the game.
Well, if you push me to El Alamein, you're like a successful combat or two away from winning.
Yeah, at that point, it's basically just a case of can I trace back my supply lines to where I need to, and I've won. Yeah. So if I do that, if we followed that element of historical accuracy, then I've probably won. The gamified nature of it means I probably can't do that as easy. Well, I say as easy as they did in the war. I don't think it's as likely to happen as it did in real life. But I think overall, when it comes to the lopsided nature of the game, I don't think it's going to be too hard for it to swing one way or the other. I think it is a few decisions away. And it's also determined by dice. So that's another big thing. The rolls could go one way or the other. So that's another big factor. It's decisions that we make, and the fact it's a game, there is always an element of chance.
Yeah. And despite like the Nazis losing, the Panzers seem to be widely regarded as sort of peak tank for this era.
Yeah. When we've had a look at the tanks and compared them for the sort of white box scenario that we did, it's definitely apparent that the Panzers will decimate most of your forces.
Yeah, I think later on I might get maybe some American tanks or some...
Is it the Shermans?
I think Shermans are American, yeah.
Yeah, so they look like they could probably stand their own against the Panzers.
But I think they're very limited for me.
So are the Panzers for me. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. At the end of this scenario, the 6 turns that we're doing, we'll have an idea as to how lopsided the first 6 turns are. So that means we can both plan accordingly. So,
but
yeah.
Definitely at this point doesn't feel like it's so lopsided that you're going to be on like a death march just delaying me winning. It feels like we both have a pretty even chance.
No, I'd be shocked if it played out like that. Yeah. So I think, weirdly enough, the game might be balanced and it might work. But that might also be flight of fancy because no one's played the damn thing. So we'll sharp find out. But great question, Pelly. And thanks for sending it in, and I hope your car doesn't get stolen. If anyone is still listening, if you're in the car now still and the episode's playing, that was a joke, so you're going to have to drive back to wherever you took it from, give Pelly the car back, and subscribe as well to the podcast, because we say all sorts of funny things, so you'll maybe have a chance to steal someone else's vehicle and blame it on us. Ben is the next person who sent in a message, and Ben says, "Hi Andy and James. I just listened to the 9th episode, and you keep asking for listeners to mail you, so this is it. This is the email. The subject is also, it's me, your one listener." So, Ben, I'm afraid we've had a few in the meantime, but we really did beg, didn't we? We really did. "I've stumbled on your podcast by accident, and you've kept my attention so far. So good job, you brave, humble, subtle heroes. Since you've made the commitment to keep on playing through this monstrous game for a decade, the least I can do is listen to the first 25 episodes of 2 fellas rambling about it. After that, we'll see, I guess." No, that's very fair, Ben. Very level-headed. "Of course, I've got a question about the game. What happens when you realise you made a mistake interpreting some of the rules later on? Will you move on, leaving the board state as it is? What if it means one of you has lost or won an important battle when they shouldn't have? What if winning or losing, the whole game depends on it? Anyway, I'm listening to the podcasts that are not about SPI's The Campaign for North Africa as well, so it might take me a while to catch up with the latest episode, but I'm sure I'll hear from you then. Greetings from the Netherlands, Ben." Well, Ben, I would say first and foremost, 25 episodes in, we're barely scratching the surface, so if it's going to take a little while to catch up, you take all the time in the world, because this is going to go on for, like I say, an estimated 54 years at the current rate. So there's no pressure. You're not going to miss out on the last episode. Don't worry. Your grandkids might have a chance to listen to it. Unfortunately, most people won't be around then, because this game will give us supernatural powers, but other than that...
Sort of a painting of Dorian Gray thing.
Exactly, we'll be trapped within the game, screaming out.
Yeah. Screaming
out from the deserts of the game.
Getting hotter and hotter as the map gets more and more fucked up.
That's right, we will get more attractive, we'll get sexy. So, sexier, sorry, we're both... It really is. So, when it comes to rule mistakes, so anyone listening at this point probably remembers that there have been a couple of rule mistakes. And in this play scenario that we've got at the moment, we are happy to peel it back a little bit, like a stage or two in the game, to remedy that and make sure that things don't go too hectic. However, when we finish this scenario and we've done 6 full turns, which is 18 op stages, at that point, there shouldn't really be an excuse for anything major. So if we do make a mistake like that and we realise partway through, we're just going to have to stick with it. We're going to have to work around whatever that mistake was. And the way that we've seen it is that this is the first playthrough of the game in full, as far as we're aware. So this is the best that the game can be played. Those mistakes are part of the play experience. So if there's anything major and it does ultimately decide the fate of the game, I don't think we'll know that until maybe we do a deep analysis at the very end and we can look back and see how that mistake might have turned the tides. But because there's so many facets of the game between supply, combat, organization, I think it would be really difficult to pinpoint a mistake like that unless it's so massive that we fundamentally misunderstood a huge portion of the game.
Yeah. The other thing I think things could throw up is like things aren't on the hexes they should be, or like something slid, but we are now checking unit locations before and after we move them.
Yes.
When someone comes to attack a unit, the player who's being attacked is checking that unit is, yes, in the hex that's being attacked. It hasn't like shifted between sessions. So I think as well as getting a better handle on the rules, I think we're getting a better sort of system of guardrails almost to try and prevent those mistakes before they happen.
Yeah, we're acutely aware that they have happened. There will be more mistakes as well. There'll be small mistakes as we go through the main game. Absolutely. What we're trying to do is uproot all of the big mistakes and the fundamental misunderstandings, like tactical shipping segment doesn't exist, so that when it does come to the main game, any of those small mistakes, ideally, we can look at probably a turn or two after they actually happen, and we realize, and we'll just have to suck it up and move on. So it's because of the vastness of the game, and there's only 2 of us rather than the recommended 10 that are playing it, there's going to be stuff that slips through the cracks, but we are taking our time, and the reason it's going so slow for the most part is because we're getting really granular with the way we're keeping track of everything. We've tried to make the game as playable as possible, what we tried to make short is the setup. It's putting the pieces on the board. We've tried to really narrow that down, as well as the distribution of resources, so that when it comes to the decision making and the stuff that we have actual control over, and it isn't just sort of ticking boxes, that we can spend more time on that. So that hopefully will stop stuff like that from happening as frequently. But realistically, we will absolutely make mistakes.
And I think a worst case scenario is if like we make a mistake and realize 2 turns later or so, and it's like such a fundamental mistake that we both view it as almost like invalidating it. In theory, our record keeping will be good enough that if that does, like that nightmare scenario does happen, we can roll back to any point in time in the game that's happened.
Yes, and it would have to be monumental for us to peel back a whole game turn, for example, or a whole op stage when it comes to the main game. But if we think that it does fundamentally break the game and we identify it there and then we probably would peel it back if we think it's going to ruin the next 7 years of play, or completely upset it, or make the game unplayable, because we've committed to finishing the game. And if we find something that will stop us from doing that, then we're going to have to figure out a solution. It's something that we'll have to kind of cross the bridge when we get to it.
I do have some concerns about specifically your supplies in terms of the full game.
What aspect of it?
Well, you were talking about your supplies are limited in convoys.
Yes.
And also both of our like trucks are limited, for instance. Like I've got a production table, so if I need to, I can put effort into getting more trucks. But you're sort of stuck with what comes in. I do have a worry that it works well for like 30 turns or so, but there's a discrepancy in the like replenishment rates and stuff.
Yes, we did talk about that, yeah.
Over 100 turns could become magnified. So I think the individual rules actually work, from what I can tell. What concerns me is the like ratios and those like calculated values over time, and whether they, at a certain point, you like soft lock or run into a...
Yes, the attrition rate of trucks from bombardments or breakdowns or capturing might mean that the ratio at which they're being lost compared to replenished. And bearing in mind, there's also a cap at how many trucks you can replenish.
Yeah.
So after a certain point, you could capture or destroy all of my trucks, in theory.
And then win. Yeah.
And then that's it. And then that means I don't have a supply line, and that is me over. That's the game done. Not even to the point where we can ignore the win conditions and keep playing. It means I functionally can't play because my men can't be supplied. I can't move. So there's a lot of stuff which is up to question. And because the game has never been played in its entirety, there's a decent chance that we run into something, like you say, 30, 50, 70 turns in, where we realise the game does actually have a soft lock function, which means it can't be played further. But that I wouldn't say is so much of a mistake
No, that's
in
not
playing
a
the game.
mistake. It's just a concern.
Yeah, I think that could just be the game is flawed. But
I think the longest scenario is 30 to 40 turns.
I think it's 35. I want to say.
So I do have a fair amount of confidence that it'll hold together.
I'd like to think
for the
so.
30, 40 turn period. It's just a sort of the 1 degree out, and then you travel far enough, and then you're you're just not at your destination as it is.
And if that happens, I guess we won't be able to see that 1 degree. By the time we get there, we won't have realised that we've been going off course for that long because of that one small mistake. If it's a battle that's won or lost, and it's because somebody... the record-keeping stuff should be fine. We shouldn't be, miscounting ammo or supplies or anything like that, or the hexes that they're in. So if it is a misunderstanding, I'm not really sure what it would be that would throw a battle off.
I'm more thinking just that built-in limitation into we are following the rules right, but
the rules might not facilitate the game.
It's never been fully play-tested. It's never been finished as far as you can tell. So yeah, there is a worry we run into that sort of brick wall.
But if that's the case and the game eventually ends because of that, then that's the end of the game. We've played it. Yeah. So we'll find out. But you raise a very good question, and it's quite early on as well, Ben, for you to identify that, and you'll, I'm sure, catch up in the meantime and hear that we have had mistakes. And by the time you listen to this, you'll know that we've put in safeguards as much as we can. But we're interested to see how it goes, as are you, I'm sure. I hope so, anyway.
And we are hoping for the main game we can build a system that, 1, automates a lot of it, but 2, allows us to put the stuff on a website or something.
Yes.
So then hopefully if anyone is very into the game, they can look at it and be like, well, why has this happened? You made a mistake here or something. Well, our intention is to make it all public. So
yes, when we do the main playthrough, when we get into the actual game, we will be sharing a lot of the map breakdown. So anytime stuff moves, you'll have access to what the map looks like. You'll have access to ideally all of, if not just some, at least some of, if not all of the spreadsheets and how they sort of function, how the things look, how the record keeping works. So then if anybody out there is a really big wargamer or just interested in how the game works, fundamentally, they'll be able to have a look at that and get an idea. We just really need to streamline our own play, first of all, before we start putting it out there and chopping and changing it. We don't want to be putting something out and then updating the way it's looked at all the time, because it'd be another confusing aspect for us. We want to nail how we played the game first, but then when that happens, if you guys analyze the rules, spot anything, then that's part of the fun. You might also be able to find some flaws, but all in all, we'll take it as it comes. So thank you for the question, Ben. Very good question.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was something. Really making us think about the existential nature of this and the fact that it might not be doable, but they did it in the past. And I think maybe that's where we need to delve now. Back to the past.
Yes.
And I believe you've got is it a new history segment?
No, sort of, kind of. So I've been reading the book the last 2 episodes.
Yes.
I've jumped to the end, so this is going to be from the epilogue.
Oh, okay.
More directly tied to the Long Range Desert Group.
Which is fitting because they've just shown up.
Yeah. And then for the rest of the book, I might jump back into some of the interesting chapters down the line, or my plan is primarily to just use it for descriptions of terrain and stuff as we go forward. But yes, we've got a history section for this week.
Sounds good. So, lay it on us.
Okay, start with a quote.
Oh yeah, as always.
Never in our peacetime travels had we imagined that war could ever reach the enormous, empty solitudes of the inner desert, walled off by sheer distance, lack of water, and impassable seas of sand dunes. Little did we dream that any of the special equipments and techniques we had evolved for long-distance travel and for navigation would ever be put to serious use.
These boys were just trying to have a nice, peaceful holiday.
They're just enjoying their winter break.
And they became dangerous men who would, 70 years later, become the bane of my life in this game.
Yes. So, in 1935, he retires from the British Army.
Okay.
Goes home to England. Builds a wind tunnel in his house.
Right, okay.
And gets to work on that book about the formation of sand dunes and deserts. The physics of blown sand and desert dunes. So he's inspired by his trips, goes home, builds a wind tunnel in his house, and publishes a book.
That should have been the end of his story.
But it wasn't, because now, as a reservist, I was recalled to the army in the autumn of 1939 and posted to East Africa. It was by pure accident of a convoy collision in the Mediterranean that I landed in Port Said, awaiting another troop ship. Seizing the opportunity, I took the train to Cairo to look up old friends. So he arrives back in Egypt because some ships crash into each other.
Just more dumb luck.
Yes.
That ends up changing the tide of war.
Yeah. But he's there, and he goes and talks to some of his old mates and then gets reassigned to the area. And he writes a 3-page memo of all of his experiences and suggests forming an up-to-date version of the light car patrol that they had, like, pre-World War One.
Okay.
The idea is... this is another quote. The idea was turned down angrily as though it was impertinent. Even the idea of driving out in the desert seemed to appall them as impossible, insane, or at least reckless.
At least reckless. Yeah, I'm going to go with that is accurate.
Yeah. So he's sort of just doing his standard stuff until Waverley arrives as the commander-in-chief of the region.
Okay.
And then he's like, you know what, I'm gonna send the memo again just to see what happens. And within an hour, he's in a room with Waverley alone, being put at ease and invited to, like, tell him the plan.
Okay.
So he proposes a small group of modernized light patrols would be created with, like, special equipment and volunteers using, like, the techniques he's learned to train them. And applying all of these techniques and having the extreme mobility, they'd go into they'd enter Libya by a back door that he alone knows of. And then they'd go and they'd track routes leading south to see if there's any movement of the Italians in that deep desert area. And Waverley goes, "What," asked Waverley, "would you do if you were to find no signs of unusual activity?" "Without a thought," I said. "How about some piracy on the high desert?"
This guy's trying to create piracy in the desert.
Yes.
He's going full on 180. I like it. Okay.
Yeah. At the word piracy, Waverley, who's this, like, notoriously, like, stern, like, sort of rugged guy, apparently just breaks into a huge grin and goes, "Can you be ready in 6 weeks?"
So Waverley loves pirates.
He loves the plan. And then Ralph sort of replies and is like, "Of course, but there'll be opposition and delay." And Waverley, like, gets a little bell out and rings it, and his, like, chief of staff shows up, and he's like, "Arthur," who's the name of the guy. "Arthur," said Waverley, "Bagnold seeks a talisman. Get this typed up for my signature right away. To all heads of departments and branches, I wish any request made by Major Bagnold in person to be met at once without question."
Without question as
Yeah.
well.
So he just gets, like, a piece of paper that's like, "Do whatever the fuck you want."
He gets James Bond's license to kill.
Yes.
It's just, I can do whatever the fuck I want in the desert.
Yeah. Not a word. He said, "Don't tell anyone about this," and get a good cover story from the director of military intelligence, and then get on with it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And then they're off and running. So 3 of his old gang are still in military service that he was exploring the desert with.
Oh, yeah, the boys.
Yeah. So what Rupert was in Cairo at the time, one of the guys. So he's just like, right, I'm going to grab him. Pat Clayton was in Tanjiki Inc. I don't know how to say it. He's in a distant place. And their other mate, Bill Shaw, is the curator of the Palestine Museum in Jerusalem.
You mean Indiana Jones?
Yeah. Both were extradited, flown to Cairo, and commissioned to be captains within 48 hours.
Oh my god.
So Waverley is just, fuck yeah.
He's got his stamp book ready.
Yeah. So they buy 30 trucks just from around town. They go and steal a bunch of machine guns and stuff from the ordnance office. And when he's there, one of the wireless radio operators and the doctor are just like, "Can we join?" I said, "Yeah, sure."
What a wild thing to want to be part of as well.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, they're like, "Who are we going to get to like man this unit?" And for some reason, the logical choice is New Zealand farmers. So the New Zealand division, they like ask them, "Hey, do any of you guys want to do anything secret and incredibly dangerous?" And like 250 guys are like, "I'm in," and they're like, "That's more than we need." So,
yeah, this is meant to be kind of covert from what Waverley was saying.
Yeah. But they get the New Zealanders in, who he describes as tough, self-reliant, and responsible people with many useful skills. And their initial training is also them going into the desert initially and setting up like supply dumps in the desert. So they do their initial training, sort of setting up base camp, getting ready to raid.
Yeah.
And then once they're all ready, on the same day the Italian invasion begins, 2 units of, like, the Italians come across the border one way, a unit of the long-range desert group slip into the desert
Oh, no.
the other way.
That feels like the current game situation for us.
Yeah. I mean, that is about to happen in the game.
Yeah, art imitating life.
Yeah. So they go so far west that they're between Carafa and Uweyant. These names are not wrong. Basically, they're on map like B or A.
Okay, yeah, that's terms I understand.
Yeah. Finding no signs of unusual activity in the desert, he turns pirate.
He was waiting for this. He was waiting to go pirate.
I don't think anyone looked for unusual activity. I think they put on tricorn hats and rode into the desert.
They didn't even fucking look. They had their eyes closed.
Straight to piracy. But finding no signs, they turn pirate and drive south and just start burning unguarded aircraft and aviation dumps. They interrupt a convoy carrying supplies and mail. The mail and crew were captured. The trucks were made to disappear without a trace.
So they fucked the trucks.
They fucked the trucks and then buried them or something.
The trucks vanished.
I don't know how they did it, but these trucks have never been found.
I wouldn't be surprised if these guys strapped fucking helium balloons to them and just floated them up into the stratosphere. These guys are mad.
Shit. So, early 1940, Graziani has 15 divisions, 250,000 men ready to fight in Libya. At the same time, Britain's entire force is like very small because they didn't want to start rallying troops in Egypt because they didn't want to provoke the Italians.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So he should win this like insanely. And then this is from his son about the impact of them. So maybe a grain of salt, but also
From Graziani's son?
No,
from
Bagnall's son. He writes the afterword in the book.
All right.
Formed with astonishing speed, and then the 2 patrols slip quietly into the desert. Graziani's invasion begins, and he has all this information about... He doesn't believe any troops of any size can operate in the deep desert. But these guys start appearing... I like this quote as well. Appearing from the desert as though from the 4th dimension.
What a scary way to describe it.
They mount these attacks deep in Libya, and apparently Graziani gets like paranoid, and all his intelligence officers are like, there can't be a force coming out of the desert, and he's like, well, there is. So
I swear to God, they're out there.
So
they're
you're
pirates.
wrong. And he's like, is it like a small group of guys, or is it like 100,000 men? He's like, they can navigate the desert now. I have no idea what they're capable of. That causes apparently a lot of the indecision. That's part of what like paralyzes Graziani.
Well, the fact he doesn't know how many of these men that there are that can navigate the desert.
Yeah, and his fear that you'll push along that top north road.
And they'll just pop up
and
from
then
the
just
south.
like multiple divisions will just appear as if from the fourth dimension.
Well, yeah, because if you're in a situation where that's never been done before and then it starts happening, the fear immediately is how many of them can do that.
Yeah, it's gone from this is impossible to I know it's possible. How possible is it? So yeah, that's I'll break down a bit more of like what they did specifically, but that's sort of him forming the long range desert group. It just seemed very informal.
Well, I mean, if anything, it just sounds like it's one man's passion project, and it sounds like Waverley is all for desert piracy.
Yeah.
And Bagnall is absolutely up for desert piracy. And the fact that they go for the trucks, they fuck the trucks, they go for the airfields, they're killing it. And this really does speak to the verisimilitude of the game, because it's absolutely nailing the menacing nature of the long-range desert group. Because when you made them in today's session, I immediately was worried because I know their capability. Their actual capability points is 50.
Yes.
Which means they have more movement than any other unit apart from
some planes.
Apart from Rommel. Rommel's the only unit that matches that.
Yes.
And fuck no, Rommel might be 40, you know. Rommel might only be 40.
I think he is, actually, because he can be tracked down.
So, yeah, it goes to show that these people can get behind enemy lines. They are scary. And this whole sort of analysis paralysis situation that you've described there for Graziani, I feel like I already had today when I was thinking, right, I've got my planes, I've got this movement ahead of me for this op stage, but now those guys are in play. I need to be careful what is actually in range of those guys.
Yeah.
So...
And I think the mechanic captures them well of they appear and then the second
vanish.
they move, they're just gone. And they could be... And they only resupply once a turn, and they can do so by just driving through things. So you have no concept of where they are until they appear. Which mirrors that really nicely, I think.
It is. It's a terrifying thought, and I think the game does them justice in that they are such a scary force that just appear.
Yeah.
To the point where I am actually worried about them. They're one unit, and I know for a fact they're going to cause more havoc than a lot of your guys that are out there.
Yeah. Well, the SAS are going to show up, and they historically team up well together.
I don't like that.
And another few things. Weirdly, we'll go into them over time. This theatre had a lot of like rogue or private army type things, like the SAS or the Long Range Desert Group, where they were just
very
like
experimental groups.
Let's give a couple of like resourceful guys the leash they want and see what they do. Which I think, because it was an unconventional theatre and because there's not a huge civilian population, they felt more comfortable like letting those guys
off leash a little bit.
Leash a bit, and it seems to have been very effective.
Yeah, it does feel like it's very Wild West. It feels like letting these experimental groups form and just see how warfare plays out in such an unnatural environment for war, because the fact that it's in such an uninhabitable space, and you've got all these guys who, I mean, these guys in particular, who've figured out a way to navigate it vocationally.
Yeah.
And then you've got other groups that sort of emerge with the support of higher-ups who clearly know that it's experimental, hence the, keep it hush.
Yeah.
But the fact it then pans out, and you've got the likes of the SAS who become, and are still now, renowned for being incredibly resourceful.
And even though the Long Range Desert Group was dissolved after this war, there's a specific detachment in the SAS that sort of have a spiritual successors that specialize in like super mobility in desert environments. Yeah. So that lineage has continued. It's just been folded into the SAS as well.
You know what? When we found the game, I didn't know anything about the North African campaign other than it took place. My great granddad, who I didn't. I wish I asked him more stories about it now because he was in Libya and Egypt, and it's like the stuff I could ask him now would be so interesting. At the time, I was like, it's for me, it was not ever part of the war that I thought was this crazy environment, and I also had no interest in sort of history or war.
Yeah.
So I never asked, but now I'm like, God, I'd love to know those stories.
Yeah.
So now learning about this, like, I never thought I'd be interested in history in this area of the world.
The more I'm looking into
it,
the more fascinating it is.
It really is.
Because it's the first war in a desert basically in human history, because before that, armies would occasionally march through it. Like Alexander the Great went to Siwa and like spoke to oracles and stuff there. but they weren't fighting a war there.
Yes.
Just the logistical challenge of moving people through the outskirts of the desert these guys navigate precluded conflict. So this is like a very unique bit of world history that I was just completely unaware of.
Well, until we have a war underwater, I don't think there's going to be something that matches such a game-changing element of fighting in such a strange environment.
Well, that's the Battle of the Atlantic with subs and stuff.
Well, sorry, yes, no, you're right. It has happened.
Yeah.
It does actually happen on
that's
another
a
front.
fascinating thing as well.
Yeah, so it's been awesome, and credit to you for the reading, the fact that you've managed to take the works from this book and spin it into something that's digestible and also engaging for me. I don't know if it's just because of the game or if you've got some knack for it, but I'm enjoying it thoroughly, so I'm interested to see where these guys go.
Yeah.
But my, what a time. What a time. Oh,
Before that, should we do some bonding?
some bonding. All right, okay. I know what you're asking. I know what you're asking. Some eye contact, some hand holding. Is that what we're doing here? Oh, he's doing the fingers. All right, now we need common ground because I'm going to get real angry otherwise. And now for something nicer. A little oasis in the war. It's time for some common ground. I'm trying the intro for common ground. I'm recording it. Maybe.
Yeah.
So, common ground this week is my responsibility.
What you got for us?
Common ground is a chance for us to put together a scenario that we have to find agreement on. We have to come together, and because we've had such a great time, but you did do the whole long-range desert group thing, I do feel like we need a little bit of this. So, I think we should have songs for more occasions. You've got songs for birthday. You've got Happy Birthday.
Okay.
You got Happy Birthday, and then you've got Christmas songs, which are broader in their nature. You got a bunch of them, but we should have songs for more occasions.
Okay. What occasions are you thinking of?
Like when you get married or a funeral.
Yeah, there's not really a specific sort of marriage song, is there?
There's not. No, you've got like the sort of. I don't know what the piece is, but it's the the wedding song.
Yeah.
I can't even think of it now off the top of my head. Like the tune.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know the one I mean. That one.
Yeah. But you want a more.
I want more. So I want a funeral one, for example. Like we're putting Jeff in the ground. We're putting Jeff in the ground. Jeff died because he thought he was better at sledging than he actually is. We're putting Jeff in the ground.
Okay, and everyone just sort of sings that at a funeral.
Yeah, and it sort of brings the mood up a little bit.
Okay.
Or if it's like a really somber one, it could be like a different song. It could be like a more somber one.
No, I quite like this.
So, what else can we do? So,
You've got a new job. There's a song for that.
yes, new job song. Basically, everything that you can get a card for in the card factory, every occasion, there's also a song
now.
for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, new job, or leaving a job,
Yeah.
or moving house,
Having a grandchild.
having a grandchild, having a kid. There's a good one. A song for when you have a child. But they just
Bursting into the living room and your family singing a song while you're trying to give birth.
yeah, I want like a
You could have one for when the baby comes out and gets sort of introduced for the first time.
yes, a baby should be born into the world into music sung by barbershop quartet. That's what we do for the birth song.
Oh, you have like a specific like barbershop quartet for the ward.
Yes, yeah, and yeah, they're on staff, they're employed. You know what? This is also creating jobs.
Yes.
Actually, this ties in quite nicely. There was a conversation I had yesterday with some people from work about the fact that there should be. I've completely lost my train of thought. Completely lost my fucking train of thought. That's gone. That's absolutely gone. Don't point your fingers at me. Oh my god, I'm going to lose it even further. Sorry, that was it. Yes, so there was a guy in America that was in someone from work had seen some video, and some guy in America was a professional happy birthday singer.
Okay, yeah.
And apparently the job is, and I know there's quite a few people who listen to this that are in America, and I don't know how accurate this is in the States. How I don't imagine it's a very prevalent job, but at sports events, it'll be someone's birthday, and they'll sing happy birthday to individual people.
All right.
And that's something I hadn't heard of before. And I also don't know how reliable this is. It's something that was brought up fleeting in conversation, but it's just come up in my head there. So the fact that there are these people who have this job, I just feel like in the UK we don't have that kind of culture.
No, we're very anti. I feel like we'd see someone loudly singing and be like, what's that guy's problem?
I feel like we're very anti-showmanship.
Yes.
I feel like we don't like to celebrate.
It would be good to put a bit of zhuzh in.
That's it. Barbershop quartet when your baby's born. You buy a new house. You get a doo-wop group.
Oh, okay.
They're there to do a bit of sort of leather jacket gang from like the 50s. They show up. I mean, most people I understand would probably go a gang at my new house, but it's like a 50s gang. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a good gang.
It's friendly. It's nice. It's like a community.
Are we only doing songs for positive occasions?
No, well, I said funeral.
Yeah,
I don't know.
guess.
You must think funerals are positive.
I guess I did say that. But I do like the idea of like, oh, you've been sentenced to court. The big band has shown up to do the "You're Going to Prison" song.
Oh yes, prosecution. That's it. The prosecution should have one. Closing arguments.
Or
This one's basically already in there.
If you win your case, the big band do a like "You're Free" song.
The vindication song.
Yes,
that's what you want. Yes, you've been vindicated. You've been absolved of all your crimes. You were actually innocent the whole time. You didn't commit fraud.
In fact, the judge no longer announces it. They hand a bit of paper to the band, and then they either play the incarceration or the vindication song.
I like the idea that the jury have to do it, actually. That's a good idea.
Oh, they're spending all their time in the room deliberating, trying to get, like, their harmonies right.
Yeah, they're in there, and it's like, all right, so first of all, do we think that all of the evidence points towards the fact that this man is a murderer? And also,
who's going to do the tenor?
Yeah, who in here is the soprano? So we need to figure out which note all of us can hit.
Yeah.
So they sort of harmonize a little. They harmonize in both music and also in their opinion of justice.
Yeah,
I think that's a beautiful way for the courts to operate through song.
I mean, yeah,
it worked in Les Miserables, didn't it?
Yeah, they freed France.
Yeah,
it's still free from what I understand.
Yeah, right now you can go to France and everyone's like, they're just out there.
Yeah, and that's because of songs.
They're out there in the streets.
Yeah.
They're still singing the songs. It's on Broadway. They sing about I've not seen Les Miserables, I don't think. They sing about bread, and they sing about Anne Hathaway, and they sing about
freedom, maybe?
They sing about the fact it's quite a long movie.
Yeah.
and on stage, I imagine it's longer. But they have an intermission, so it's allowed to be longer.
Yeah, so we're doing positive. Anything that's in a Hallmark card now needs a new song.
Yes, and anything in the public forum.
Yes.
Anything where there's a jury of your peers, there should also be some singing.
I like that. Like an election song. Just make all these events more...
An election song would be fantastic. Each political party should go, these are our policies, and also, we've got a good little ditty coming. So when we're elected,
this might be too much of a diversion. It might have to be its own common ground down the road. Each political party should have its own sing-along song. It specifically has to be sing-along, and if they're in power, that's the national anthem.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good way to.
They should be changing national anthems more often.
Because then, if the majority of people have voted for a particular political party, there's no reason for you to not sing that.
Yeah.
I get, national anthem, fair enough, that's just kind of there. I didn't get any say in that, you didn't get any say in that. The people didn't choose the national anthem. But if you voted for this political party, you've also voted for their jingle.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, you got to sing it. You got to.
And it means we can put a lot of the, like, weird non-politics, like, appearance stuff. That's now just Eurovision.
Exactly, you've put it into a song. So all the identity politics, that's now, it's all about the music.
Yeah.
It also, I think, will it'll really hamstring stuff like the X Factor. You know, like we said earlier, Leona Lewis on the X Factor. Now it's going to be a lot of people trying to position themselves to go into different verticals. Are you going to go for the courtroom singing? Or I guess for that you'd have to be a professional juror, which isn't really a job. For good reason, I suppose. That's just a judge.
It's a judge without a jury.
It's Judge Dredd, I guess is what that is. And I can't imagine Judge Dredd bursting into song. Carl Urban in the Judge Dredd remake. dropping a few bars, spitting bars.
That might actually be a musical I watched, if they did a Dread musical.
That would be very good. I can imagine singing a lot of Korn. Not corny music, but Korn the band.
Yeah.
I can see that happening. I think this is just a slam dunk.
Yeah, no, I'm all in favour of more songs.
More songs, more music out there. We want to spread joy in the world, people. That's what we want to do. That's what we're doing right now. This is sort of music. We should have a War with a Mate song.
We'll have a song for when we finish.
We will. Yes, there we go. We'll have
finishing board games as a song category.
We'll have finishing this board game should be.
Yeah.
It's a really long one. Goes on for 54 years.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll work on a song then. So one of us gets a meal, and we'll both be doing a little song at the end.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Oh well. If anybody has any suggestions for the type of song we should sing, or write the song, send it into us, and we won't credit you. We won't credit you. Let's get this.
No, we will.
we won't credit the person who's doing it. We'll steal it. We'll steal it for ourselves.
I was hoping to get some songs sent in, but it feels like after that we won't.
No. Well, I'll edit this bit out.
Oh, okay,
this bit's
good.
just me and you. This is now off the record.
This is us scheming.
Yeah, this is a bit of scheming stuff. Because I think we probably cut like an hour and a half of each episode off from when we scheme.
I mean, yeah, we're constantly scheming.
We are. It's just one big scheme.
Yeah.
The fact that all of this is AI generated as well. We're not even here. It's perfect. The perfect crime.
But it will get us into the vault of the Bank of England.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's
what this podcast is for.
We'll also, we'll be the ones who sing the interest rate has increased song.
And then we'll have the you're going to prison song when we get caught.
No, we'll get the vindication song. We've been vindicated. And all of you listeners, you're vindicated, because now you can go to bed easy, knowing, and I presume all of you are going to bed right now. You're driving your car, time for bed. You can all go, you can go back to your families, you can let them know, it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. There's going to be music in the world. It's going to be happy. Everything's all right. They finished the first op stage. We can rest easy. We know it can be beat. The game can be finished.
And their family will go, what are you talking about?
The podcast I've been talking about
constantly,
occasionally, infrequently, I've been mentioning it offhandedly sometimes.
I'm pretty sure I took my headphones out and it played a little bit of it before I could pause it when I came round last week. Podcast.
That just sounded like two people talking about Thunderbirds. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's the one. That'll be the one. Well, folks, Andy, I've not got anything else to say to them.
Stay subtle, humble, and brave.
That's the line. That's the line. God bless, and stay safe out there. Watch out for those songs. And if you go to prison, remember, there's a little ditty waiting for you in the future. That little jingle is on its way. Good night.